A peer-reviewed research paper just mapped out the path to a $1 million Bitcoin with specific dates included, and the logic behind it is hard to ignore. The projections hinge on surging demand from institutions and nation states, with math centering around existing liquid supply while accounting for variances in accumulation moving forward. Now, looking at recent headlines would seem to lend more credence to their analysis. Four different governments this week alone have made moves to accumulate or integrate Bitcoin, some expected, others seemingly out of left field. One's a major democracy in Asia, another gave us the Renaissance, and one of them might be your own. Today, we'll unpack the full report and reveal the timeline of when you might be able to celebrate seven-figure Bitcoin, plus cover some of the other interesting things that went down in Bitcoin land this week. Smash that like button and stay tuned. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your weekly session. All right. I want to welcome to the stage my co-host with the most, Mr. Nathan Fitzsimmons of Bitcoin Mentor. How you doing, man?
Oh my God, I've missed you, sir. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about the new studio. The chair in the background is a nice touch, but I think I prefer the old one, but it's so good to be back on stream with you. Did you see the terrible news about James Howells? I think it's Howells, and not the thing you're thinking of, probably the other thing.
Oh, remind me that
he's the dude. Oh God, bad luck. He's the guy who had, I think, 8,000 Bitcoin on a hard drive that he accidentally threw out and has spent like the last 12 years trying to find this thing in a landfill.
Oh God. Yeah. I do know what you're talking about. I'm sure we'll get to that moment in a moment here, but yeah, not great. Not great. We'll dive into that in a little bit, but there's been a bunch going on this week. I want to start today with a little clip. This is of the Bitwise CEO. Yeah, we're gonna take a little clip. And so the CIO here is talking about countries buying up Bitcoin. And the reason I'm starting with this is just to kind of give credence to what this peer-reviewed report says in and around price predictions for Bitcoin in the coming years because of said nation-state adoption. So let's take a listen to the CIO here of Bitwise and what is happening with them currently.
I think it's the same growth curve, just at different phases. It's an exponential growth curve. It's just that the sort of bank wirehouse institutional curve is so far down that now the doubling is very visible, right? Like we've seen a steady acceleration. We're past the hockey stick point. I think nation states are moving in that direction, right? It's not just El Salvador now. We had Pakistan a little while ago. We have Bitwise is talking to multiple sovereigns. We had Abu Dhabi. We've had a few others. I think it's moving in the right direction. We're just earlier in the doubling phase. But look, I think if the U.S. actually buys Bitcoin, I can't imagine what that does to the price or to the game theory of other countries moving into the space. I think it would be. I don't think that's priced into the market at all.
Yeah, so he's saying there, Bitwise alone is talking to multiple sovereigns, and that's just Bitwise, of course. And so I want to chat a little bit about this report here, and kind of how they've come to their numbers and when these price predictions, when they're positing they may come true, as well as some of the stories that are just happening just as of this week that are developing that, would add fuel to the fire of what they're saying may come to fruition. And so with this report, what did they do? So this is a peer-reviewed study. It models Bitcoin's price trajectory using fundamentals based on supply and demand framework. And they started from a base of the April 2024 halving as their initial kind of price point and data moving forward from there. And it highlights how rising institutional and sovereign demand combined with the fixed supply of Bitcoin and increasingly illiquid supply, can drive extreme price appreciation in the coming years. And so they have a few different models, which is kind of the lines that you're seeing on the screen. And so they have a more, we'll call it their conservative scenario. And this is with moderate adoption on the institutional and sovereign side, and around 2,000 Bitcoin a day being removed from circulation. This puts us at around $1 million per coin in fall of 2028, with a visible supply shock by 2029 to 2030. Their more bullish scenario would be aggressive institutional adoption. Again, in the realm of 1,000 to 2,000 Bitcoin a day withdrawn from the liquid supply. That would put us at 1 million by early 27 and 2 million by late 27, with a projected 5 by 2031. Now, they do also outline a hyperbolic trajectory, and this is like 3,000 plus Bitcoin a day removed from liquid supply, which would completely exhaust the supply before 2036 and trigger runaway prices. Now, they don't think in this report that that's super plausible or realistic, but they just state it as a potential scenario. Now, some of the model assumptions in and around like what's liquid and what's not, how did they start? So as of the halving, they said in and around that time, 11.2 million Bitcoin would be considered liquid. So this is the Bitcoin that were currently mined at the time. 1 million illiquid, just Satoshi wallets. 4 million assumed lost forever, just, burned keys, people making mistakes in the early days. And then 3.5 to 4.5, somewhere in that realm, million permanently hodled as like a reserve strategy, basically coins that aren't expected to move. So putting the liquid supply at around 11.2 million. Of course, new issuance, currently 450 Bitcoin per day. That'll be cut in half in 2028 to 225. And just for a note, we're talking about like how many 1,000 Bitcoin per day removed from liquid supply would cause some of these run-ups. The ETF, and it's in the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 range. The ETF flows alone at the end of 2024 were just shy of 300. It was like 285. So that's already a big chunk of that, let alone sovereigns, let alone these other things. So, the numbers, while we're not necessarily seeing that like this moment, a lot of the rumblings would lend credence to that type of a demand curve over time. And so let's kind of just take a look at a few of the things that are going on this week. So we've got Indonesia, the vice president office, chatting about adopting Bitcoin as a national reserve asset. They invited Bitcoin Indonesia, this group, to come and basically make the pitch. And the way that they wanted to explore it was using Bitcoin mining as a national reserve strategy. For me, this is kind of cool to see because one of my first kind of traveling Bitcoin experiences was I got married in Bali. And so I was in Indonesia and I went to one of the offices that they had on the island there, just out of curiosity to see what was going on. And that was, shortly after I started the channel. So like, if you dig deep in my very first videos, one of the things was going to, they had a little Bitcoin office in Bali that I went to, and another little hub spot called Ubud, and or Hubud was the name of the coffee shop, but they had Bitcoin ATMs and everything. So kind of cool to see this years later. Now, outside of this, what else has been going on? So beside Indonesia, Brazil, they're considering adding Bitcoin to their national reserve, and they've got their first hearing on debating a national strategic Bitcoin reserve as of August 20th. So coming up pretty quick here. And so the actual proposal here is suggesting putting 5% of Brazil's international reserves into Bitcoin. And I think, Nathan, you had said, where are they like in the pecking order when it comes to like GDP for nation states?
I saw some different kind of reports back and forth, but the one that I was looking at most recently had Brazil pegged at number 11 in terms of largest GDP, ahead of Australia and South Korea. The South Korea one actually surprised me. I figured they would have had a little bit more, but no, it's a big player, right? If they start getting into the space, they can move things around.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, there's no joke. Brazil looking at this kind of stuff, like it would actually have a meaningful impact. Now, outside of that, there's a few other things that are going on. A couple more. So we've got an Italian MP that's urging national banking foundations to start allocating to Bitcoin. He recently did an interview on being crypto. And so I just wanted to read a little bit. This is a quote from the MP himself. He said, Italy holds one of the largest gold reserves globally, but that doesn't mean we can't diversify. We face practical hurdles first. There's no budget classification for seized or confiscated crypto assets. Today, seized crypto in illegal investigations is scattered across various jurisdictions with no centralized oversight or accounting. The government hasn't commercialized these assets yet, but if Bitcoin is treated as part of a diversified strategy, we need a way to track and evaluate it. Eventually, we'll need to decide, should we liquidate these assets or remain with part of them as part of the state's patrimony. The term strategic reserve sounds impressive, but technically these assets already fall under the umbrella of state property, just like state-owned buildings. It goes on to say some real estate has declined in value over time. Bitcoin might offer a better upside in the long term. And I'd say might.
I just want to point out too, Brazil's number 11, Italy's number 10.
Ooh, yeah. So I mean, it's and continuing up the pecking order here, France again. There's a major political party there that wants to mine Bitcoin with nuclear energy, and so this is coming out of Rassemblement National. This is Marine Le Pen's party. And so they basically reported last week that the leader, Marine Le Pen, she now backs using idle nuclear energy for Bitcoin mining. She reportedly promoted the plan during a visit to Flamanville. I'm not sure how to say it. The nuclear plant there back in the spring. And the party said the initiative will turn wasted electricity into secure and extremely profitable digital assets, aka obviously Bitcoin. And so, I mean, these are just things that have been popping up this week. And this is putting aside that, of course, you've got, stateside still initiatives. You've got Lamas's bill that's sitting around where she wants them to buy 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. And the head of digital assets for the White House stating that they want as much Bitcoin as they can possibly get their hands on. So there's just this kind of perfect storm where everybody's positioning themselves to potentially cause curves in the price like this. And we're definitely at a time where you have the having way less of an effect because, going from like, 1 point something percent inflation to like slightly less than 1% has a lot less impact than going from like 50 Bitcoin per block to 25 when not much has been mined in the first place. The crux of where Bitcoin's dollar denominated value lies now is in and around how many people get it and are accumulating. And so it's a completely different and harder to predict trajectory on when people understand. And it's just so much harder to put a pin in it. But again, this is what they've tried to do with this report. So Nathan, I'm kind of curious on your end, what you think regarding the report and kind of all the stuff that's seemingly just, it's there, the discussions are happening, but when does it come to fruition?
Man, I have no idea, but we know which direction it's going. It's very clear. And I it's either going to zero or it's going to multiple millions, essentially, as every single fiat currency collapses. And I think we all know which way it's going on that. The thing that I find interesting about this, that I find kind of funny and reflecting on, is that we're humans, right? We want to look for patterns. We want to map things out. We want to be able to predict the future a little bit. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel a little bit more confident and comfortable in the moment. But this is a throwback. Do you remember the movie Men in Black? Do you remember Men in Black with Tommy Lee Jones and not doing so well these days, Will Smith? There was a scene near the end where, Will wanted to tell everybody what was going on. And Tommy had this wonderful point. He said, humans are smart and intelligent, but people are dumb. And in groups, we're basically these emotional, irrational creatures. And the one thing that none of these models ever account for is the sheer panic that could sweep the entire world. And I know that it could, because we saw it happen with COVID. We also saw it with like Signature Gate and Silvergate with the bank runs, right? You could at some point, like, I'm not saying this is necessarily going to happen. It's going to happen next year, but there could be that moment. It could be the US government issuing debt that's being monetized by the central bank to directly buy Bitcoin, where the entire world has a holy shit moment on fiat currency and basically has a bank run running into Bitcoin as fast as they possibly could. We know that humans can move in herds like this. So while I think that these are very interesting and very reassuring, and I'm quite confident that we're going to get there one way or another, I'm always on the lookout and so curious, because I think there will be those moments, those little times along the way where we see those big step ups, because something shifted psychologically with kind of the, I don't want to say, like the global zeitgeist.
Yeah. It's, and again, when you're in it, it seems like it's taking forever, but I think we all need to also step back and say, like, Bitcoin's been around for 16 years. Many of us have been in it for, a fraction of that. And it feels like, why is not everybody getting this? But it takes so long to get that into the heads of everyone. And just from the perspective of somebody that's been in it for a while, it feels like it's taking so long, but like on the grand scheme of things, 16 years for Bitcoin to be discussed in the way it's being discussed right now is astounding.
Yep.
And it just speaks to kind of the power of the technology and what it's been able to accomplish in such a short period of time, and also how bad things are because of the existing system. Yeah.
No, I think it will be one of those things that even when we're in the moment, it feels like it's taken forever. But when we look back on it, these will seem like pivotal times.
Yeah. Historically, people will look back and say, oh my God, all of this happened in the window of like a couple of decades, or 2 to 3 decades. And it will be crazy to see, like, oh, they went from literally trying to read the tea leaves of what a small group of people in a room were going to say, to actually going to cryptographically provably scarce, finite sound money that is censorship resistant. And it was a monumental step in humanity.
100%.
Well, we're going to discuss a little bit more about the bad and just how bad things are. There's a number of stats that actually you pulled together in and around, all the stuff that we're seeing with our generation and the newer generations coming up, and how much worse they've got it than the generations that came before, and because of this fiat decay. So we're going to be kind of diving into some of the specifics there in and around the stats that are just really not looking good, and why Bitcoin continues to be hope. So we'll do that in just a moment, but we're going to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. We'll be back in just a sec. Make sure you have your Lightning wallets ready on the other side of it as well. We'll do a little giveaway, but we'll see you in just a moment.
Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions.
If you've been around Bitcoin for more than a minute, You've definitely seen something made by CryptoCloaks. Since 2017, they've been the go-to for badass 3D printed Bitcoin gear, from custom home mining rigs to sleek hardware wallet mounts that make your setup look pro. I've been stacking Cloaks gear for years, and most recently I grabbed their Gamma case for my miner. Let me tell you, it turns some heads. You can customize everything, and of course, the legendary Bitcoin grenade, yeah, that's them. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code to visit CryptoCloaks.com and stack your own custom Cloaks gear today.
DEBIFI is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multisig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the Cold Card Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to DEBIFI.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen.
All right, we are back in. We're going to give away some quick sats. By the way, this is the Bitcoin Well dashboard. If you haven't already signed up for them, then I encourage you to scan the QR code on the screen and give them a go today. Awesome place to stack sats in Canada and the US. The way it works, though, with the giveaway here is you accumulate points every time you sign up, buy Bitcoin, refer friends, all that good stuff. And you can use the points either to grab yourself some swag or to toss a coin in the wishing well with a chance to win up to 1 million sats every single time. To play the game right now, all you need is a Lightning wallet. You just need to scan the QR code before everyone else in the audience in order to steal the sats away from everybody else watching. So we're going to toss a coin in the well right now and see what it comes up with. And if you do snag the sats, then of course, let us know. And we love to see it in the comments there. So 409 sats for whoever scans that first. You got to be quick on the trigger. If it doesn't show up for you, somebody else got to it first. But with that, Nathan, let's chat about one, how bad things have gotten, but two, how asleep retail is right now.
Yep.
What are we looking at right here?
So this is the Google search trends for Bitcoin over the last 5 years. You can see the excitement back in 2021 there. And we had a little blip, I believe that was in the run up to Trump's inauguration. But we are back basically at the same levels as like the 2023 bear market. No one's paying attention. We are so early in the cycle still.
Yeah, it's crazy because obviously you and I and the people watching this know that Bitcoin fixes a lot of things, and that in particular the economic woes on as an initial first level are solved by a lot of this. And you put together and aggregated a few examples of just how bad things are, and so I want to bring up a few things, and it would, some of them would point to that certain people are getting it, but definitely not retail. And so first off, let's chat a little bit about the US housing market. House sellers outnumber buyers by more than 500,000, the largest gap ever recorded. So, you know, the trope of your home is your most important investment that we were sold. You know, we obviously had the financial crisis in 2008 and all that, and the housing bubble, but it's not looking great. Not looking great there. And Max Kaiser retweeted that, quote tweeted it and said, Bitcoin is demonetizing real estate. Now, I don't know necessarily that that's the exact reason why this is happening, but it does point to something going on where it's just untenable to be in real estate at the moment. How would you attribute what's going on?
This right here, and again, this is just me purely speculating. I'm not an expert in any of these fields, but I have some thoughts on it. And I wonder if we're going to see essentially the boomers get rug pulled by their own stupidity over the years, meaning that boomers have the largest amount of wealth, including real estate, in terms of like their asset portfolio. And as they are now approaching, and in large amounts, like not retirement, needing living homes, kind of downsizing, they're looking to monetize the homes that they basically ran up the prices on and choked out the ability for the millennials to be able to buy one. So you set us up that we'd never be able to own a home, and you got these ridiculous evaluations, but now you probably need to actually access some of that equity. You need to sell that home, and there's not going to be any buyers because you didn't let us take a chance at having those higher positions in different companies, at not necessarily stripping us of economic productivity with constantly getting more and more and more, what you call it, social and welfare benefits. And this might be like chickens coming home to roost to see real estate prices correct because the younger generation can't afford them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, exactly. Like, what young person nowadays can actually ever believes that they'll own a home? Like, none. Like,
Gen Z
nobody.
is just completely given up on it. I don't think, like, millennials are still like maybe one day at 40. I think I saw some stats somewhere like the average home buyer, maybe it was like Florida, the US. It was something stupid where the average home buyer was like in their 50s. It was ridiculous because a lot of people setting up families at 50, Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's unbelievable to me how quickly that has changed. And you know, my sister, so she lives in LA currently, and I remember in and around 2021, she had saved up like a sizable down payment, and she was looking at buying somewhere in and around LA. And like, it was already bad enough, but she was like, hey, I saved up enough money to actually have a down payment, or almost. And then she was like, you know, another 6 to 12 months of savings, I'll be good, and I'll be able to pull a trigger on a property that's actually decent. Well, what happened? That's when they were in the midst of the COVID printing, and what happened? It just it became impossible to afford anything. Like, the inflation in and around real estate, the not only that, but like then they started hiking interest rates and everything, and it went from I'm an inch away from pulling the trigger on buying a property to I will never own a home here. And like that dream for a lot of people, if it was even close to reality in 2020, 2021, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's just completely gone. And that leads us to our next stat, and the the horror story here. This is probably why we're seeing it, but here we go. Estimated percent of 30-year-olds who are both married and homeowners from 1950 to this year. And it goes from over 50% to, it looks like it's getting close to, it's
10-ish.
yeah, it's like getting close to 10. It's like 12 or 13%. Unbelievable. That is horrific. That's horrific. That's so scary.
That is the craziest chart explaining the entire problems with the fiat system in just one green line. Like, to think that you've had an 80% reduction in the amount of what should be that kind of prime age, prime family formation, prime age working individuals that neither have a home or are married. If you want to know which way your society is going, that's the biggest indication I've ever seen. And the fact that that's not alarming to most people, or they're not even necessarily putting two and two together, is just it. We've said it a few times, and I'll say it again. Those are some fourth turning vibes right there, right?
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love to see. I know it would be almost impossible to get, but the optimism. So that's the green line right there, which is very appropriate for fiat. If we had a nice orange line of Bitcoiners, I bet you it's going the other way right now, and I'm damn happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's wild to see, you know, this absolute misery. And again, look at the timeline here. Obviously, like 1970, you know, 1971-ish, that decade, sizable drop. Notice that it looked like it was going up a little bit from 1950 to 1960. Then obviously Vietnam War is happening in here. So there's already like fiat debasement, even though we're technically still pegged to the dollar at that point, or pegged to gold at that point. There was, this was when people were noticing, and when they were like, oh, maybe we should start to repatriate some of our gold here. And then it's like, oh, it's not there. And then it's just like free fall for decades and decades afterwards. And so like how, the uninitiated, how does this matter? Well, when you can't afford the costs of living, then it's going to take you longer and longer to be able to establish a family and have a home. And like home ownership is obviously untenable for most people nowadays. And that also has them putting off marriage and having families if they ever do it at all, which is horrible. Yeah. Now, these are the only things that have been going on here. We've got the rigged jobs report to make him look bad for Trump. Of course, like the economy is still not what people claim it is. U.S. adds only 73,000 jobs in July, and unemployment rate stayed flat at 4.2%. Most expected 100,000 at least in July. Now, I mean, we did see these job revisions a ton under Biden. They're worse.
Yep.
The revisions were insane. And it was always just glossed over by the media as well when that was happening. But beyond that, we also have manufacturing PMI survey falls to 48, lowest since October of 2024. So this is purchasing managers index. So not looking particularly good on that front. And then in the background, as all of this is going on, the Fed quietly publishes an article discussing revaluing their gold. And so anybody that is familiar with how things work in the US, they've got gold, but it's valued at historical rates. It's not marked to market. And so revaluing that gold would free up some capital for potentially, this is one of the budget neutral things that they've posited they could use to accumulate Bitcoin for strategic reserves. So, I don't know, Nathan, thoughts on this seemingly perfect storm of misery that's happening right now?
Well, we know exactly how they're going to respond to it. And you can see why Trump has been yelling at Jerome Powell and really sticking his nose in there, and why things are getting a little bit heated is because there is signs that things are not going exactly the way they want. One of the most shocking aspects of those jobs numbers was not only that July came in under expectations, but May and June were revised down 258,000 that they removed from the total count, which is just astonishing. So again, not looking strong. And to your point, I just pulled up the numbers here as well too. Currently, the gold reserves are valued at $42.22 per troy ounce, and they could revalue them at market value of $3,300 per troy ounce, which is just ridiculous. The idea here that we know where this is going. Trump wants to print. He's putting pressure on the Fed. Powell's out in May of next year, if I'm not mistaken, if not earlier. Those whispers keep going around. There was talks of having dissent in both the Treasury position and the central bank position. And even last week, we're talking about how Reed Alley was talking about QE and the government getting involved with the central bank were basically end of the debt cycle stuff. And this is exactly what we're seeing here. The response is going to be print more money. It's going to be, it's basically, we're going to have to kind of accelerate a little bit downward here. Things are going to get worse, team. But in terms of those that are holding on to Bitcoin, we know exactly which way it's going to go. And this revaluing of gold, it's funny. I want to point it out because in the footnote, let me just find it here for us. We had said in that document from the Fed was one of the possibilities of using proceeds from valuation gains on gold reserves has been floated in the US and Belgium recently. And attached to one of the footnotes there says the idea has come up in the context of helping establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve or a sovereign wealth fund directly in the footnote of that Fed paper. So this very well could be the way that they're looking at budget neutral acquisition of Bitcoin. Revalue the gold, sell some of it, buy Bitcoin or borrow against it maybe.
That's wild.
Right?
Yeah, it just feels like, again, to the previous segment, there's so many things that are just right there, but like preparation stages. And my lizard brain high time preference is like, why is this not all like pull the trigger already? Because I'm just used to that mentality, and it's hard to get out of it. But I obviously things take time. So and I'm not I'll also kind of add in, I'm not necessarily a fan of governments having the exorbitant privilege of being able to print themselves out of financial ruin. But we do know that governments do not have self-control when it comes to spending. So even if they are able to give themselves a leg up initially to accumulate a bunch of Bitcoin, they're going to blow through it. They won't be able to hold on to that shit as soon as people stop accepting their monopoly money, and they will stop accepting their monopoly money.
Absolutely, damn straight. There's really no other way it plays out. And it's funny because even some of the most brilliant minds I had the opportunity to talk to, in the short term, we may have disagreements about where things going, but if you just lay out the incentives and say a really long time frame, it's like, yeah, I can't make an argument against that. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, pretty wild. Well, we're gonna take a little break here, but on the other side, you mentioned earlier, this gentleman James, who lost back in the day a hard drive with like 8,000 Bitcoin, and he's been on the hunt. And there's some interesting developments around him, and some upsetting ones, not just in and around like his hunt, but also how he's handling it. Not what you like to see. Also, apparently, like the largest heist in Bitcoin history in dollar denominated terms went completely unnoticed. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that, and plenty of fun other things have been going down this week. So we're gonna come back and chat that in just a moment. But we're gonna first give a quick shout out to sponsors. So we'll see you guys in just a sec.
Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? AQUA Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. AQUA also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, AQUA is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download AQUA Wallet today. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With NUNCHUK's HONEYBADGER plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. NUNCHUK is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The HONEYBADGER plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step-by-step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, ColdCard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the HONEYBADGER plan. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The ColdCard Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The TapSigner gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away.
All right, we are back in. And as a quick reminder, if you sign up for the newsletter here by scanning the QR code, there's a little form that you can just plunk in your email. we just have a weekly recap that we send out. And if you're part of the newsletter, then you are automatically entered with just the email address to win a cold card queue every single month in perpetuity moving forward. So make sure you do. They're so pretty. But nonetheless, let's chat about Mr. James Howells. And so anybody unfamiliar with James, 2013, he threw out a hard drive. He thought it was an old spare of his, 8,000 Bitcoin on it. It ended up being sent to the landfill in Wales, and he spent basically 12 years trying to find this thing. And he's tried to sue people, assembled teams, has been he's proposing using AI robot dogs to excavate the site. Again, a lot of rejection from local authorities, all this stuff. And yeah, so a final court ruling in January of this year denied him access, and he has officially ended the search. But this is not the end of the story. You may be thinking, poor guy, that sucks. And yes, I agree. Super unfortunate. That's a tough lesson. And hopefully somebody would glean from this, big mistake, but this is going to have value going forward, and that should not impede me from stacking sats now, learning from this very, very expensive mistake, and building a future for my family in the most responsible and ethical way that I can. Unfortunately, James is tokenizing the lost 8,000 Bitcoin. What is this called? Neoig coin? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so built on Bitcoin, powered by Operturn, integrates with stacks, runes, and ordinals, launching in late 2025. The vault is mine, and I say the show goes on. Basically, he's saying that he's tokenizing the lost Bitcoin and allowing people to buy his tokens that represent the lost Bitcoin if it ever gets recovered. It's just, how do you feel, Nathan?
It's a tragic comedy. Like, my mind is already putting together what this movie looks like. The unfortunate thing, and I feel for the guy, and that could be probably one of the most seductive, terrible things that may have happened, because how much time, effort, resources, energy was wasted on this that could have been better spent working on a different project, or getting bitched, even just having like some other sort of income or business and just stacking sats. Like, it would have been better. Again, it's easy in hindsight. You don't know if you're going to find it, but man, the odds of finding that thing would have been small to begin with if it wasn't completely destroyed or gone. That you would have been better off just focusing on building the stack anew from that point, and just moving on from there. Put all your time and energy and attention to that, and learning about Bitcoin. And maybe you wouldn't think that this was such a good idea if you were learning about Bitcoin along the way. It's funny because my immediate vision is like, I already see the movie on this, right? That like you spend all that time digging for it, and who knows, maybe it's not even there, right? Like, you're assuming that you threw it out, but especially after years, how sure are you that it's actually there? This is a tragic comedy. It's just sitting in somebody else's closet right now, waiting to be discovered.
Yeah. And I've got to imagine, again, how many resources, like you said, he piled into this hunt over the last X number of years. And think of even just some of the price opportunities that have presented themselves, and just in even recent memory, like the COVID crash of 2020, Bitcoin was like $4,000.
Yeah.
How many people would kill to be able to buy a $4,000 Bitcoin right now? Like that, you're not lying when you say like those resources would have been better allocated into just stacking over this period of time. And that in and of itself is a tough lesson too. And I think that there's, again, this sunk cost fallacy, and like, how do you how do you come back from that? And, unfortunately, the answer for James here was, I'm gonna launch a shitcoin, and try to get society to buy this tokenized lost Bitcoin, and make up for my unfortunate early mistake. So
it feels like shortcuts, right? Like it's so easy to say in the position of not having lost 8,000 Bitcoin, but you would have been better off just doing work and focusing on your craft and stacking Bitcoin. And the same thing here, like launching a token is just you trying to shortcut your way to having basically fiat gains. And it's like, it's what got you kind of in this mess, or it's what wasted your time in the first place. Don't keep doing it. Don't keep doing it. Just focus on building other things.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we're talking about lost Bitcoin here. This next little tidbit that I want to touch on is about lost Bitcoin, and it kind of harkens back to the first section where we're talking about impacts on supply. And this is just a crazy one because it's the biggest Bitcoin heist in history that nobody even knew happened until very recently. 127,000 Bitcoin stolen. Now, in Bitcoin terms, not the largest heist in history or the largest loss in history. That still, if I'm not mistaken, Mt. Gox, that was 600, somewhere between 650 and 850,000 coins.
Wow. For context, that's Sailor's entire stack right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now some of that was recovered, obviously, and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, in dollar terms, at the time that this happened, is the biggest. Okay, so this was a little known Chinese mining pool called Lubian. And again, 127,426 Bitcoin. It was $3.5 billion at the time. Currently would be worth 14.5 billion. The largest digital asset heist in history, bigger than Mt. Gox in terms of the dollar value, and the Bybit hack, which was 1.5 billion in 2025. It occurred on December 28th of 2020, and went unnoticed until this month when a blockchain analytics firm, Arkham Intelligence, revealed it. At the time of the breach, Lubian was among the top 10 Bitcoin mining pools, controlling 6% of the global hash rate. It reportedly had operations in China and Iran. Arkham says that on the day of the hack, hackers stole over 90% of their Bitcoin in one sweep. 2 days later, 6 million in Bitcoin and USDT was stolen from Lubian using OmniLayer. And what's even more astonishing is that neither Lubian nor the attackers ever publicly acknowledged the theft. Arkham team says the incident was buried for years until they connected the dots through forensic blockchain analysis. Again, after realizing the scale of the theft, Lubian tried to recover its assets. The mining pool sent tiny Bitcoin transactions to the hacker's wallet address. They contained op return messages that allow you to embed text into transactions. And they talked about return of the assets and a possible reward. And so, like, some of the images, message from LB to the white hat who is saving our asset. You can contact us. Like, just hoping that they will return it through this email to discuss the return of assets and your reward. Like, the person's going to give up the $1 billion they just got away with. So how did they get hacked so easily? Apparently, it's believed they had a faulty private key generation, used an algorithm with, it was brute forcible. Jesus.
Yep.
Where hackers tried every combination until they guessed the private key. So it just goes to show, like, don't go and try and, do your own keys. And so, like, humans are really bad at being random. So,
Yep.
like, don't try and roll your own encryption. So this one vulnerability allowed attackers to access and move most of their Bitcoin without much hassle. After the theft, they managed to recover about 11, almost 12,000 Bitcoin, which was moved into recovery wallets in December of 2020. These coins are still untouched and now worth 1.35 billion. The stolen coins sat idle for years until July of last year when Arkham noticed a large wallet consolidation. This was the first movement of the stolen Bitcoin since the attack. Today, the wallet holding the stolen funds is the 13th largest Bitcoin wallet in the world. The hacker is still unknown, and there has been no movement of the funds since 2024. This is insane. What do you think about this?
It's incredible. It's funny. When I first saw the headline, I kept thinking to myself, like, did somebody not check their balance for years? Like, you just imagine you just part of this. You just weren't looking. You go in, it's like, I got to move a little bit out, and all of it's gone. That is just it's impressive that they were able to keep it under wraps on both sides. That never necessarily came out, especially when there were public messages going back and forth between the two. My first instinct is that's a state actor. I don't know who, but that's a state actor, because maybe you could be so scared. And if you were so aware of Bitcoin in the early days, the only thing I can think of is one of two things. Somebody took the example of Satoshi, in terms of like anonymity and privacy would be key to one pulling this off. And we're very scared to actually touch or use what they had stolen. But I'm guessing this was probably a state actor. And so we're talking about that Bitcoin adoption on the nation state level. There might be somebody that's way ahead of where we think they are, because they maybe haven't publicly disclosed and are trying to figure out the best way to go about saying we're sitting on 127,000 stolen Bitcoin.
Yeah. That, oh my God. Can you imagine a country announcing their strategic reserve of 127,000 Bitcoin? And that's probably part of it too. Like, just waiting to see if somebody noticed like where the coins were. If it is a state actor that does want to establish a reserve or something like that, you're probably about to see a whole lot more liquidity when it comes to either Wasabi or the newly launched fork of Samurai. So
oh dear God. And it's funny too, because especially as we progress in this timeline, as more and more nation states get into, I'm not saying that is the case, right? And maybe there's a little bit of blend between government and some corrupt hackers on the side there as well. But the geopolitical implications, because these were stolen from a Chinese pool as well. So I doubt it was the CCP. I doubt it was Russia. So if it was, it would be somebody on the other side, and they might be pretty pissed off if anybody finds out. But again, total speculation. That just, to me, smells like state actors, early state involvement.
Nathan, would you say that hacking a Chinese miner is budget neutral?
No, you got to pay the intern 40 grand a year to do it.
Oh Lord. Okay. Well, I want to shift gears a little bit here. I wanted to bring this up. I just watched this the other day, but it came out 6 days ago. It was removed. It's not allowed to be broadcast in the UK, and it's a Coinbase ad. Now, first off, let's start by saying don't use Coinbase, but credit where credit's due. They've got some banger ads that outline what is wrong with society and how Bitcoin fixes this. It's just unfortunate that the solution they're putting forward to people is to gamble on shitcoins.
Yeah.
So I did want to give this a little watch, just because it's a fun video. I quite like it. I think they did a good job. But yes, this was disallowed from airing in the UK. It was pulled from broadcast. So let's take a look.
We ain't got no troubles. We ain't got no troubles, no reason to complain. Cause here in great old Britain, we just love it when it rains.
Morning.
We're cozy here at home, even though it's not our own. But wait a few more years and who can say? Everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land. Everything is just fine. Everything is great. The streets can't get no cleaner, nor the rat meat any leaner. No, life is just first rate.
everything is just fine.
These fish fingers are a steal.
Prices up a smidge.
Just 100 quid a meal.
Empty purse, but hey, could be worse if there was nothing in the fridge.
Strategic realignment means I get to work for myself. Yeah! Paying off one or degree with tips from each delivery. Excuse me, sir, I have your tandoori. Everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land. Everything is just fine. Everything is great. We're soldiering on. We're doing our bit.
We're off to Dubai.
It's time to jump ship.
We're tightening our belts with a stiff upper lip. 'Cause everything's just fine.
Yeah. I quite enjoy that. I think they do a good job there.
Yeah, their marketing team did fantastic. It's a wonderful combination of, like, you know, the keep calm and carry on kind of propaganda that they used during the war, that really stuck in the culture. It's like just taking that and bringing it to an absurd level and throwing in some Mary Poppins for fun.
Yeah, it's the choreography really quite good. Again, unfortunate that their solution is join Coinbase and let us peddle you shitcoins. Because it's funny that is the mentality of the generations coming up now, is like the only way I'm going to make it is gamble. And unfortunately, outside of offering Bitcoin, that's what Coinbase is. That's the solution they're offering is come gamble. And that's the whole platform is tailored towards that. It's just scrolling marquees of this went up this much, this dropped this much, buy, sell, trade, give us the commissions on your buys and sells is pretty much what it
100%.
is.
And keep everything on platform. No, let's not do that. That's like a terrible idea. It's a very good ad. I wonder from a marketing perspective, I think it would have even performed better if it would have had some message about Bitcoin and then flashed Coinbase, because Bitcoin's got that brand recognition as well too. So even from like a strategic marketing standpoint, I would have still mentioned Bitcoin before flashing your shitcoin casino.
Yeah. Well, and that's what a lot of people I've seen previously have taken because Coinbase, they've got a killer marketing department. People have taken previous Coinbase ads, and at the end where they just show Coinbase, the logo, they just replace it with a Bitcoin B. and then the ad.
It reminds me of like the NFT bullshit. Like, this is my ad now. This is my ad now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's screenshot it.
Mine.
It's mine. Yeah. it's yeah. I mean, credit where credit's due. Good, good advertisement for pointing out the flaws in society. But yeah, I wanted to touch on a couple other quick things here that I think are worth mentioning. So I was in Lugano when they unveiled the Satoshi Nakamoto statue, which, funny enough, does not look
that
like
one.
that. Yeah, not that one. But yeah, so there's a Satoshi Nakamoto statue, and it's one where he kind of disappears. It's like slates of metal, and so depending on the angle you view it at, he kind of disappears. Well, the statue disappeared because somebody stole it and then dumped it in the lake. So they were able to recover it, and now there's a petition to put it back up. I did see a handful of pictures of Bitcoiners in Lugano sitting in the place where Satoshi sat. Somebody had a pretty funny take, a picture of the empty statue and saying, well, to be fair, this is a more accurate depiction of Satoshi. Just
just nothing there. That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, screw the vandals. They did recover the statue, and hopefully they restore it back to its former glory. It was a
I
pretty cool
completely
piece.
agree. I think what
like
we have to do for
Yeah.
next time, I mean, if you can think about it was Henry Ford, the idea of having like an energy currency, and that's essentially what Bitcoin is. So what we need to do is we need to improve upon the statue. Same thing, 240 volts going through it, leave it alone. It's our energy money, our energy statue. I think that'll deter the vandals next time.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Now we have to give out a shout out to co-host on the show, your co-host for Mentor Session, and then occasional co-host of the news if you happen to be away or I happen to be away. Of course, Gary was out there with Rob from Bitcoin News, and they gave away a Bitcoin to random New Yorkers, and used AQUA wallet to do it, and they were sending over somewhere around $5, something like that, 4,500 sats to each individual, set them up with a wallet, and they actually got a pretty warm reception. I thought it was a great video. It's a couple minutes long, but it's just them chatting to people on the street and their genuine reactions of people, in some cases getting their very first Bitcoin wallet and receiving it into self-custody, which is actually pretty cool. So I don't know. You watched it, I imagine.
Oh yeah, of course I did.
You like it?
Come on, he is the Ernie to my Bert, or maybe he's a little bit more grumpy. So of course I'm going to watch my buddy's video here, and it was fantastic, and I love the idea. It's funny, even talking to him afterwards, they got a lot of warm reception. But it's I don't blame them. I feel like New Yorkers in particular be super skeptical, but like they went hard, and a lot of people just looked at them like they were crazy as well too, which you would fully expect. It's so interesting that we can be in a day and age where like everything's happening and no one's paying attention, and then people are trying to give you the best money, and you're too afraid to just keep
What's up, everybody? I'm Rob from
Yeah, it's it's cool to see. And they're both so well spoken and articulate, and have great personalities that it's just fun to watch. So I think Gary needs to do more of this. I recommend that everybody go over and make sure that you're following Bitcoin News Calm, because I think they intend to do more of this. If
100%, they should definitely get back out there and do more. If you have any other ideas of how Gary and Rob can go out there and embarrass themselves on the street of New York for our own entertainment and Bitcoin adoption, go there, leave a comment. I'm sure they like the attention. I'm sure they'll do it.
Yeah, 100%. A couple of quick things to round out here. And I mean, not exactly a quick thing. I think this is pretty awesome. So, $3 billion YouTube competitor, and we like that, given that it wasn't too long ago that you and me on a live stream were literally banned from YouTube like midstream. But Rumble announces it will integrate Bitcoin Lightning Network for tips, which is awesome. We've seen rumblings of this before, pardon the pun, but yes, the CEO of Rumble, strategic Bitcoin reserve for the company, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Bitcoin wallets indeed rolling out, and indeed will be Lightning capable, which is super awesome. I hear that they're going to be using Spark. I could be mistaken on that, but that could be interesting. So it's like state chain, Lightning enabled state chain stuff. I'm still a little fuzzy on exactly how that works. I've messed around with state chains in the past. A little fuzzy. I'm gonna have to do a deeper dive on that and exactly how that back end works. So I don't know. Stay tuned for that.
New tutorial coming soon.
I think this. Yeah. I think this is great. I think having and it's not, Rumble's a good sized platform with meaningful creators on it that have large followings, and you can actually get pretty damn good viewership on Rumble. And to have them integrating Bitcoin, it just opens up a whole new realm of possibilities and gives them a huge differentiator between them and Bitcoin. Like, yeah, there's the we're not going to censor you piece of it, but then there's now the built-in payments aspect of it which I don't anticipate YouTube doing either of those things. So
The one thing on this that really excites me is it feels almost like a PG version of the Silk Road, in the sense that a lot of the people that are going to Rumble, it's because the content that they want, they can't get on YouTube, or they have an ideological position where they want to be on that. They're willing to make that transition, go be there, go spend their time there, right? Because network effects, Rumble's still behind YouTube, but they're doing the best that they can. Think about how many people learned about Bitcoin because they just wanted drugs, and that was enough of a motivation for them to go through that process. And now you're going to have a lot of people that they already have an audience. The audience is already very invested in that creator if they're over on that platform. How many people are going to try and figure out a Lightning wallet just because they want to be on Rumble, they want to be there, they want to support that creator? So I think it's a good funnel for a lot of people to give them, almost like the same with Gary, that first little, got to get your $5 and try it out a little bit, that first introduction, that first touch point with Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, it's super positive to see. And that as soon as it is available, I'll be doing a tutorial on how to use the Rumble wallets and how to, go from Rumble to, cold storage and all that kind of stuff. Just making sure that people are able to navigate that, especially the newcomers that inevitably will come along with a platform as large as Rumble integrating it, which is really cool to see. So a couple other things. Earlier this week, dropped a tutorial on the specifically the Nerd QX++. This thing's a beast, and I got a custom CryptoCloakS print with the logo on it, which is so badass. Dude, thing's sizable. Like it's not like a little bit axe. It's like, I'm gonna say like double in kind of double the height, maybe not quite, like 1 3/4 or something like that. Anyways, it's big, but actually pretty quiet when it runs, and it's 4.5 terahash. Yeah, like a regular bit axe for some of the newer ones, I think, are clocking in at around 1 terahash. So like 4.5 times as much hash for one of these things. And it doesn't consume much electricity. So in the tutorial, I go through setting it up in the most simplistic way, just like solo mining, using like CK pool or something like that. But then I also show how to set it up for pooled mining, both in just like through a regular pool, and then like fully solo, like through your own self-hosted solo pool on your Start9, or through like Brains with Lightning payouts to your own Lightning node. So like not even Brains, sorry, I did Ocean payouts. So yeah, anyways, I go through a whole bunch of different ways, starting with the simplest way to use it to more self-sovereign. And then I also point people towards my full-on like run datum on your own Start9 tutorial if they want supplemental. Anyways, I quite enjoyed this thing. I've got my whole array set up. I've got like three kind of like variations on the bit axe, plus this thing, plus a Brains mini miner, plus a future bit. And then at the very end, not in this tutorial itself, but just to kind of see what my cumulative hash rate looked like and what my chances of mining a block daily were. It was like, with all those devices running, it was like I had a 1 in 600,000 or 700,000 chance per day of mining a solo block. So not bad odds. Like I don't mind those. Yeah, I don't mind those lottery odds. And so like, yes, odds are still that I'm not going to mine a block, but like that sounds pretty good to me. Like it's better than buying a lottery ticket.
100%. You find a block, you got to make sure you at least buy the team a beer. We'll go with a beer. Got to buy a round.
Oh yeah. We'll get more than a beer.
That sounds good.
It's just it'll be more bribing you
There's
guys.
That too, yeah.
To block.
Got to make sure we keep it under wraps.
Yeah. Either way, check out the tutorial, and if you need some other supplemental information in and around anything Bitcoin, we do recommend that you check out the Learn page, the Zero to Hero page, and there's a convenient QR code for you guys to check that out. If you're unfamiliar with the Learn page, we've got beginner, intermediate, and master level tutorials just pre-selected for various topics: mobile wallets, hardware, buying Bitcoin, privacy, mining, nodes, all these different things with some pre-selected just singular videos that you can check out. But if those don't quite tickle the itch for you, then you can dive deeper into full playlists on a lot of those topics as well. And if you're going through all this, which if you do, you're going to be like so far beyond your average Bitcoiner in terms of practical skills. But if you go through this and you're like, I just need some additional help, you can, of course, reach out to us over at Bitcoin Mentor. And that's just down. I love this new banner here. It's so pretty. Look how good Gary looks.
I know. You always got to put him beside. That is a strong mustache. He's got to grow that thing back. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Man, we just look like a big pile of puke next to Gary.
So everybody does. Everybody does.
Everybody does. So anyways, reach out if you'd like to chat with any of these handsome gentlemen or the other incredible mentors over at Bitcoin Mentor to help you through your self-custody setup to make sure you're rock solid on it. Now, I am, of course, not at home. This is not my studio. And where am I? I'm in Riga for Baltic HONEYBADGER, the most OG Bitcoin conference in the world. I was here last year. I'm here again this year. I love it. They always do such a good job. Put on actually by our friends at HODLHODL and DEBIFI. These guys have been around forever. And yeah, this is just such a great event with solid Bitcoiners and no compromise on quality of content. So very happy to be here. And on the other side of this, I'm going to be home for a few days. And then I've got another quick foray to learning Bitcoin in Vancouver, which I'm very excited about. We'll be seeing some of our friends there as well. Pablo from Bull Bitcoin is going to be co-hosting a bunch of educational stuff there too. I'm going to be at the Unconference the day before as well, put on by Me Premier Bitcoin, and doing a talk there, as well as helping with and participating in some of the programming at Learning Bitcoin itself. So if you want to, it's maybe a little late to pull the trigger on Baltic HONEYBADGER. Maybe not. Maybe you're close to Latvia. But if not, and you want to or can be in the Vancouver area, be sure to come and check it out. Head over to btcsessions.ca, and there's an events page that you can hit up at the top, and you'll see links for Learning Bitcoin, and you can use a code SESSIONS to get 20% off as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. Lots going on, but also very much looking forward to being back home and being able to work in the familiar office. It's been a whirlwind. Of course, I had the family vacay too. Thanks for holding down the fort for me while I was away too.
Oh, happy to do it. I think after 9+ years of going straight, you could have a week or two off. That seems reasonable to me.
This is the first time that I actually did not do work for 2 solid weeks. And Mrs. Sessions made sure that I did not relax for a single moment of it.
Of course.
It was good. Kids love the rides. Side note, 8-year-old daughter, we hit the Velocicoaster, which is insane. She did it 7 times.
Oh my God.
It's this roller. I'm screaming like a baby the whole time, every time that she made me go on it. It's incredible, but she loved it. And my other son is 4, so you can't quite do the thrill rides yet, but we'll break him in.
You get him ready. Well, it sounds like you guys had a fantastic family trip, which is awesome. So glad you were able to get away. And it seems like fingers crossed, we're not quite at the end yet, but I think we successfully did not burn down the channel in your absence.
Yeah, it's still standing. We're here.
We didn't get banned.
Yeah, we've almost made it. So yeah, couple events ahead. But I will be present and here for shows moving through all this. Yeah, very excited for it all. So anyways, I guess we'll wrap it here, dude. Thanks for everything, everybody that's watching. Of course, I forgot to mention it a whole bunch of times to the show, but make sure you slap that like button, give us, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Keep stacking sats, keep stacking skills. I'm Ben. This is Nathan, and this was your weekly session. We'll see you guys soon.